My name is Homer C. Lentz, and I live in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay. And I was drafted into the Army in the middle of June of 1943. I just finished high school that spring, or whenever school was out that spring. And they took a whole busload of us old boys from Watauga County into the Army at that particular time. Well, we got on the bus. There was no train or, anything like that. But anyway, we ended up at Camp Croft. And we were only there one day, a little over a day and a half probably, to get uniforms, send civilian clothes back home, and you had a box that they put them in, taped them up, and sent them back home. Okay, then they put us on trucks, took us out, caught the train. Next thing I knew, we were in Fort McClellan, Alabama, at 12 o'clock at night. And they knew we hadn't had anything to eat since breakfast. We had a little, knickknacks for breakfast or something like that. And we took that, we ate that. And they said, well, you guys got to go over to the cafeteria and get food. And they had us put our bags in the barracks there so we could come back. Well, you wouldn't believe what they had. They had, when we got down there, they had just a tea, and things like that. And that was just enough fluid to carry you over till in the morning. Of course, we had a good breakfast in the morning. And but then after we spent 17, almost 18 weeks there. And that's why I was wanted to show you that picture. There were 5 groups of men just like that many. And there was something planned for each group every day. And one day you'd be out on the parade ground. The next day you'd be out on the firing range. The next day you'd be, on a 10-mile hike. And things like that. Saturday was the only day that you didn't have something really planned. But each one of those groups, like that group that you saw in there was 5 of those groups. And they were so organized till each one of them would be at a different place every day, And then if we were on a drill field, we'd be out there all day. Doing close order drill and calisthenics, and all that kind of stuff. And but Saturdays, now that was for 5 days. Saturdays was the days that they lined everybody up and you went through the dispensary. Doctor on this side and a doctor on this side. No shirt. Isn't shooting you on the arm with needle on this side and doctor on this side shooting you with another needle on this side. For I don't know what all. And that was every Saturday. Is that what you want? Something like that? But that's the way that I got basic training. Now from there, went to went to Camp Shanks from Fort McClellan. And then I was on a train. And then from there, we loaded a bus and went to England when we got over there.
Okay.
And you saw the picture of the Stonehenge.
Mm-hmm.
We used to play around that all the time.
Really?
Now they won't let them go closer. Mm-hmm. But back then we played around it all the time. Did skirmishes with blanks or fake bullets, whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And red team against the white team or whatever, you know. But we were put in barracks, and the only distance between me at that particular time and the Queen of England was a barbed wire fence. She was, I'd say, probably 16-year-old at the time, mm-hmm. and there was a girls' barracks over there, and she drove a little old lorry, mm-hmm. they called it, which was the same as our Jeep. But it was her job to carry messages all over that post. Fort mm-hmm. McClellan was a real big post. And they'd come up to the wire on one side and talk to us. And, you know, we'd talk to them and all that. So they burned coal and we burnt coke.
Oh, really?
And it cold in the wintertime over there when we were over there. So we cut the fence and crawled through the fence and steal their coal and put it in our stove and make it. We had one big old pot-bellied stove in the middle of the barracks, you know, to keep us warm. And then we'd fix the wire back so it looked like it was never been cut, you know. But it was cold and rainy while we were there. And we were there from, well, I guess I spent either 3 or 4 Christmases away from home.
Wow.
Now that was basic training.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after we got through all our basic training, and we did basic training in England too, but then we were ready to go in the battle when they decided that on June the 6th, that would be the day for the invasion. Mm-hmm. Well, we were put into a big woven wire place. You couldn't write a letter out like you were talking about mm-hmm. to your parents, and cell phones, things like that wasn't invented in those days. And so you had to stay there. We knew something was coming, but we didn't know what. And then when the time came, they put us on big old ships. And we crossed the English Channel. Then when you got out there so far, you got on LST. That was a landing craft where the front end falls down like mm-hmm. that. You saw them in the movies.
Right.
And water up to your neck, and you holding your rifle up over your head, mm-hmm. keep them from getting wet, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you really did go in like that.
That's
on
right.
The beach.
You're lucky if you got in. A lot of them didn't get in because there were big old pillboxes and everything in the place. If you look at that little book laying on top of that one, right there, that's my division patch. My nephew went over there. He's working for a PhD. He teaches over at the university. Mm-hmm. and he wanted me to follow him, wanted me to go and follow my route back through the way we went. I said, no, I'm not going back. And he's got pictures there. Now that's LeWar DTC, Disciplinary Training Center. After I got wounded, I was sent back there.
So we read in some of the books that the gear that you guys had to carry was really heavy. It was a lot to have.
We carried a 9-pound. We carried a 9-pound pack. That's what we did at Camp Croft. They had a big old place that would make a dozen of these houses. You lined up and you went down the line. What size shoes you wear? What shirt do you wear?
Right.
All that. They threw all that stuff at you in a bag. You put it in a bag. They give you a pack and everything. And then the next day they showed you how to pack it up. No, you just chuffed it down in the bag as you went through there. But the pack weighed 60 pounds and the rifle weighed 9. And you would really never do without those. Now, I never used the pack at all while I was in really fighting war. I used 2 raincoats, one to lay on and one to cover up with. And but still had your rifle.
Right.
Yeah, the equipment was really heavy. What do you want to know?
What about when he came off the boat? Was he scared?
Were you scared when you came off the boat?
Ma'am?
Were you scared when you came off the boat?
No, I wasn't really scared. I tell you what, where the place I was scared, I'd never been on a boat, never been out of Watauga County. And I went to England on the Queen Elizabeth, the biggest boat afloat at that particular time. And I was sick for 7 days. That's how long it took us to go over there. I ate 1 pack of crackers, one of those tubes of crackers, and 2 Hershey bars in 7 days.
Wow.
Fed the fish the rest of the time if I could. But I wasn't really scared at all at that particular time, and neither, I guess, in a sense, being an old country boy, I wasn't really scared. We had to run a mile before we ate a meal. If it was breakfast of the morning, you got up, bugle sounded, and you would get up, shave, and comb your hair and what have you, take a shower or whatever. And then you ate breakfast. Then you went to whatever training department you were supposed to be in for that day.
Right.
That group that I showed you in there. You never got to know all of those guys. And then at night, before you got to eat supper, you had to run. They had it already blocked off, another mile. And you run that mile before you could eat supper. Which was right, because, you wouldn't want to eat and run a mile.
Right.
And they'd make you run a mile before you ate. A lot of them old boys, they'd fall out left and right because they were city kids, they'd never done anything like that. And I was a farm boy. The 26-mile roads on Cone Place, you read about that and say, well, we'd run them millions of times before I ever went in the Army.
So you were used to that?
Yeah.
You were used
It was To me, it was fun, you know. It's just like something we'd have for fun, you know.
Out running around.
Yeah, we'd run those, what you call it. But as far as being scared, I wasn't even scared in battle, let's put it that way. And I can, in that uniform you were wearing, I can show you a lot of battle stars on it, and what each one of those, what you call it, are, and everything like that. I can. They all have a meaning.
I'm sure.
What's another question you got?
How much ammo did you think that you used on the first day?
How much what?
Ammo.
The first day?
Yes.
We didn't do a lot of using ammo the first day because we were lucky to get on the beaches the first day. And, of course, we did some shooting. They were in pillboxes. And if you'll show me that, give me that book, I'll show you what a pillbox looked like, that they were looking right down on top of us. Right there's a pillbox that they're inside, looking down on top of us. They're up on a ridge that's like we were right here, and we're trying to come up through that holler down there, that valley. And they're looking right out that pillbox with what we called an 88. And an 88 was a deadly weapon.
Was it?
They made it for an anti-aircraft gun. You know, Germany bombed England there for 2 or 3 years before we ever decided to get involved in the war. And then, so they made an anti-aircraft gun, which was an 88 millimeter, let's put it that way, shoot airplanes down with. But they found out it was more beneficial for them to use it on us as soldiers.
Wow.
And that was the thing that I was afraid of. Any other weapon they had, I was never afraid of, but not an 88, because it'd go boom, and then
Wow.
when you heard it, it's too late. You didn't hear it.
Were any of your friends killed?
What?
Were any of your friends killed?
Did I have friends killed? I had a lot of them killed. And which school do you go to?
Blowing Rock.
You go to Blowing Rock. The old boy used to be principal at Parkway School for years. And he was one of the guys that loaded up with, you know, when we went down there. Well, they threw an artillery shell on the building he was in and set the building on fire. And I drug him out. And it tore his legs all up. And he was unconscious for about, I think, month and a half before he ever came to. And they were going to take his legs off, and he wouldn't let them. But then he came back, went back to school at Appalachia, and they put steel in both of his legs, and he could get around.
Wow.
So he became principal. And he is principal there at Parkway School for years. But I had a lot of friends killed.
How did you feel when the war was over and you went home to see your family?
Well, I was glad to see my family. Because Mary was just, she was, I guess when I left, Mary might have been a year old.
Wow.
And my younger brother, who is now dead, he died about 3 or 4 years ago. see, I went, from the time I went in the Army till I came home till I saw him. I didn't know I knew I had another brother. I didn't know what he looked like, or anything like that. But he was, I don't know, he had a heart attack, and he was in Charlotte, and he had a stroke on top of that.
I remember that.
He just wasn't, well, he was strong and everything, but that was too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
What's another one you want?
Can I ask a question? Carter, I always wondered how it felt. Did it bother you to kill anybody?
Not when he's trying to kill me.
I mean, I understand that it's kill or be killed.
That's right. You got to look at it from that
Right.
standpoint. I never went to sleep at night. I never put out see, you were wearing that jacket with stripes on it. Well, I had a different, I was sort of like Patton. I didn't fight a war like a lot of them did. I fought about my own war.
Right.
And at night, you're supposed to put out an outpost. Well, I had another little fella who was out of the bayous in Louisiana, and he could speak French. I could speak French too. Parlez-vous français? Oui, monsieur. And I could speak it as well as they could. I learned the language. I learned vocabulary real well when I was we had to take it when we were in high school, 2 years of French. And I had learned the vocabulary real well. We had a class reunion one year, and Mrs. Lewis was the lady who taught French. And she hadn't been to one in years, and she came, and I started speaking French to her, telling her how beautiful she was. She was an old lady at that time, telling her how beautiful she was and what a beautiful outfit she was wearing, all that, And she looked at me, and I never will forget it. I can see her right now. She said, "Carl, I want to tell you one thing. You didn't learn that in my class." I said, "No, ma'am, I didn't. But I got a good basic foundation," which I did.
That's good.
She was an excellent little French teacher.
That's good.
But me and old Rousseau, the little guy that I was telling you about, that could speak French, well, we'd go see some at night when we put out outposts. I never put out outposts. I was an outpost. And I knew where you were going in the morning. I knew where you were going to try to outflank my outfit, or you were going to hit me head on, or whatever.
So now, for those of us who don't know anything about the war, does that mean that you were out spying around at
That's
night,
right.
trying to figure things out for the next day?
And I give you a choice.
Okay.
I cut the wires that went back to their headquarters.
Okay.
Old Rousseau would slip up one way and I'd slip up the other way. And I'd cut the wires. And they couldn't get back to their headquarters. Well, give them a choice. You can either go back with us as a prisoner, or you can stay here. If you stay here, they'll find you, and that's all. But most of them will go back with us as a prisoner. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, you'd run across some stubborn joker that wanted to stay, thought he'd be brave and he'd stay. Well, we knew he wasn't going to stay,
Right.
and he should have too.
Right. So it sounds like you were a really good soldier.
Well, I thought it
Sounds
was.
like it.
I thought it was. That's why I got promotion.
Well, that's good.
All those things.
That's good.
like I say, I fought more in my war than I fought the war to the company. They set up, well, we're supposed to take this hill over here. And I figured out a way that I'd get up that hill easier than hit it head on, you know?
Right.
I fought more like I can never understand why during the Revolutionary War in this country, why we had to line up or during the Civil War, we had to line up and go fight. Why we didn't fight like we did during the French and Indian War, from tree to tree, and things like that, you know. More people killed in the Civil War than any other time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because they all lined up and took off in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if we're outnumber you,
Mm-hmm.
if we can get over there. But in the French and Indian War, we didn't do that. We hid behind this tree and we slipped up on you.
Right.
But I don't know why. But that's the way they fought those wars back in those days.
Well, it sounds like you were an excellent soldier and you knew a lot about the war.
Well,
You know,
I did know. I keep up with particularly World War II now. I could tell you I'm to a point. I'm a authority on things on World War II. See, I've got books in there. If you ever want to write a story on any enemy of ours during World War II, it's like that D-Day book. I've got Patton. I'm right over there reading a book right now, which was a fight between Marshall and Eisenhower. And of course, they may not mean anything to you. Eisenhower was the commander-in-chief, you remember. He was the one who decided we would go today. And I'll show you there in the magazine in a minute that you might want to take it with you and read it. And what's his name was commander of the troops and things like that. They didn't get along so good. Montgomery, who was English, he was jealous because we were more powerful than he was.
Did you ever get to see Hitler?
No, but I've seen everything but Hitler. I never saw Hitler. I saw many of his Germans. I have captured many of his Germans.
Did you get to see any of the Jewish concentration camps at
Yeah,
all?
I saw some of those, and that's awful. Those would make you sick, to look at. Here this person is skin and bones.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember there was so many of them. Hitler was an occult,
Mm-hmm.
or he believed in that, and he believed in the stars had to be lined up this way, and
Mm-hmm.
like some old farmer says, it's not the right time to plant.
Right.
Hitler believed stuff like that, and but the man that was the biggest hand in that was old Himmler.
Mm-hmm.
He did that for Hitler. Of course, Hitler had what he called brown shirts, who were about your age, about Boy Scout age, Boy Scouts on it. And he gave every one of those little fellas brown shirts. and started training them when they were about your age. And you have never seen anything as, I guess, to me, it would hurt. It hurt me as bad. Was here these little old kids were trying to take a tank and kill us, and we'd take our tank and blow the top off of it. Those little kids come crawling out of there crying and everything, you know, because they weren't old enough to want to fight a war, but Hitler was making them fight a war because we're going into Germany and we're going to take over the German people and everything like that, you know. But those little fellas, they were trying to do what was good for Germany. I hope we never come to that position in this country.
I know.
We won't, because we got too many smart bombs. You see them on TV all the time. You hear that little thing is flying over the mountains, no pilot, no nothing. And this guy is 2,000 miles away from it, looking at a TV. And he can push a button here or a button there and tell that thing to go blow that house up over there. And man, he's 2,000 miles away. And that thing will go send a bomb over there and blow it up. It would really shock me if I knew how many, well, I guess it would anybody, if he knew how many things that we had that we don't know about.
That's the truth.
There is no telling what we've got that we don't know about. You'll learn about them someday. I won't be here that long. But you'll live long enough to a lot of these things that are really up to date and so far ahead today. Just think what will happen in your lifetime. You'll be a tremendous, it'll just be tremendous for you to understand what's happening back in that period of time.
Mr. Carter, thank you. Megan, do you want to get up there in the film with him? You want to get up there and thank him? Maybe you can give him a hug.
Yeah.
Okay? And so thank you very much. And
You're welcome. Anytime you, this is was full of battle stars.
right.
They've slipped off of them and what have it. And
And so
this is a combat, what you call it, and it's worth $10 more a month.
wow.
That's worth $10. This is a Purple Heart. You ever seen a Purple Heart?
No.
I'll show you
Now,
one.
what did you get that for?
When
I mean, I know you get a Purple Heart for something
when he
special.
got wounded.
Okay, for getting wounded.
Yeah.
Okay.
They dropped a bomb,
Why don't you let me put this
artillery
on
shell on
so
it.
you can see the front and back of
I
it?
got it.
Are you filming it?
I'm just taking a little snapshot of it real quick. Yes.
What, St. Michelle?
Wow. Right, and you would pin that on your jacket then, right?
No.
You wouldn't. You just keep that.
That's what that
Okay.
bottom,
Okay, and so
what you call it is.
so then you would just keep this one, and that's for getting wounded in battle. Then
Right.
your Purple Heart is that
Two.
George Washington on there?
2 or 3 times.
Wow, it's nice, isn't it? A special, Carter.
Yes, it is. It is special. Yeah, that's special. I stayed in the hospital 3 months.
You did.
before I got out.
Now, did you get shot?
No, I got artillery.
Is it okay if David just gives it back to you?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay.
Keep it as long as you want it.
And all 5 groups went to the same place.
Yeah, there
mean,
was
you all
5
went to that-
different. There were 5 different groups of people that big
Yes, at the same place.
at the same place. That's how big the camp was.